ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं पद्मभुवं वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च हस्तामलकं च शिष्यं तं त्रोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यात् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। We are in our study of Mandukya Upanishad. This is a unique Upanishad, a Upanishad which stands on a platform of its own in terms of its complexity and the uniqueness in which it presents Brahma Vidya. No Upanishad does what this Upanishad does in revealing Brahman, the absolute truth. It's a very small Upanishad, mere 12 mantras, but the great grand guru of Adi Shankaracharya ji, yesterday we observed his Jayanti, Adi Shankara Jayanti, his guru Govinda Bhagavata Padacharya and his guru's guru Gauda Padacharya ji took up his pen to write an elaborate commentary on this Upanishad. We saw the Agama Prakarana, Agama meaning the Upanishad itself,
And we also saw the chapter on Vaitatya Prakaranam. We are studying this Upanishad and we are well into the Karikas. The entire Karikas of Gaudapada Charyaji is based upon the seventh mantra. The seventh mantra being Nanta Prajna, Na Bahish Prajnam, No Bhayata Prajnam, Na Prajnana Ganam, Na Prajnam, Na Prajnam. The second portion of this mantra, Adrushtam, Avyavaharyam, Agrahyam, Alakshanam, Achintyam, Avyapadeshyam, Ekatma Pratyayasaram, Prapanchopashamam, Shantam Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham Manyante, Sa Atma Sa Vigneyaha. This portion is the second portion. The first portion is revealing to us that Brahman is not an experience. Brahman is not an experience. Na Nanta Prajnam. It is not the inner consciousness. Na Bahish Prajnam. It is not the outside consciousness. No Bhayata Prajnam. It is not the state between the two, the inside and the out. Then na Nanta Prajna, na Prajnana Ghanam. When we withdraw from the outside and the inside awareness, it is as though the jiva coils back into its deep sleep state, and over there it goes back into this homogeneous mass of pure existence known as over here prajna, mass of consciousness, that it is not even that. Na prajnam, na prajnam. So it is not the consciousness and it is not the not awareness, because awareness and not awareness, opposites are also taken. Basically, Brahman is not an experience. The antaprajnam, the inner consciousness, the outside consciousness is referred to. The inner one is the dream, the outside as the waker. Between the two, the deep sleeper, and the duality created awarenesses, as though Brahman is not any one of these things. Brahman is referred to in this Upanishad as Turiyam, the fourth. It is only referred to as the fourth from the standpoint of the three, the Jagrat, the Swapna, and the Sushupti. From the standpoint of these three, Brahman is referred to as the fourth. That does not mean Brahman is the fourth state of existence. It is not the fourth state. Brahman, from it is only said that it is completely apart from these three, and to identify that it is apart, fourth is taken. Now, what is the nature of this four that the Karikas take on, the Upanishad also takes on to explain, but over here, Gaudapada Charyaji found it extremely necessary to talk about very important principles born out of the second half of the mantra. Adrushtam, Avyavaharyam, Agrahyam, All this, the it is adrushtam, unseen, then avyavaharyam, it is not available for transaction, agrahyam, incomprehensible, uh, alakshanam, it cannot be inferred to with some type of properties to indicate it with something. Achintyam, it is unthinkable. Avyapadeshyam, it cannot be described. Jati, guna, karma cannot touch it, and thus it is undescribable. Ekatma pratyaya saram. It is of the one homogeneous mass of awareness, essentially of the nature of conscience. Then prapanchopashamam. Prapanchopashamam. It is the cessation of prapancha. With this prapanchopashamam is where Gaudapada ji comments in the second chapter, Vaitatya Prakaranam. He gets that word Vaitatya Prakaranam from this Prapanchopashamam, that there is absolute cessation of creation, absolute cessation of this Jagat. He does not say that the Jagat is uh, is not there. He's only saying that the existence of Jagat is Mithyavi. The experience of the Jagat is there only after I am aware. And it is my awareness that awares the Jagat. My self awareness precedes the arrival of the Jagat, and the cooking up of the notions of Jagat in the mind is what we call samsara. And he says, Gaudapadacharya ji proved with 38 karikas that the world is a mithyavi jagat. Very important that the world has no independent existence. The world is a world of illusion. That is what Gaudapadacharya ji commented, which is what we saw elaborately in the Vaitatya Prakaranam. Now comes Shantam, this peaceful. Then Shivam, it is all auspiciousness. Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam, non-dual. And it is here where we start our Advaita Prakaranam. This Advaita Prakaranam is the chapter 3 of Mandukya Karika. There are 48 Karikas, which proves without a shadow of a doubt the non-dual truth, existence, principle behind the pluralistic existence, in fact having completely negated any type of reality of pluralistic existence. Now Gaudapadacharya ji talks about how Advaitam eva satyam, truth alone is, and there is nothing else beyond this truth. This is the highest what is talked about here. Gaudapadacharya ji is proving to us that the eternal reality of the non-dual self is supreme. And over here, he uses a very unique word, asparsha yoga, in this section, that there is a yoga of no contact, yoga of the awareness has never ever come in contact with the created world. And we can use the modern day example of the movie and the movie screen. Whatever is projected on the movie screen, whatever happens in the movie, the fire, the floods, the massacre, the beautiful uh, love story unfolding, the screen is untouched by whatever is projected on it. If there is a fire scene in the movie, not even a micromillimeter of the screen behind is affected by the fire. If there are floods and tornadoes, the screen ever remains still, cannot move. Even in the cyclone projected on the screen doesn't at all move. The waters, the floods in the movie cannot touch the screen, and this is the asparsha yoga that is taken up later on. So now we enter this karika itself, the third section of this Upanishad. We enter उपासनाश्रितो धर्मो जाते ब्रह्मणि वर्तते प्रागुत्पत्तेरजं सर्वं नैतेनासौ कृपणः स्मृतः. He opens with a bang and an incredibly huge criticism on upasana over here. Upasana ashritah dharma, committed to the life of upasana, ashritah, committed to it, tending to upasana, following the path of the upasana, dharma, the seeker or the individual who is treading this path of upasana, jate brahmani vartate. This Brahman, which is the substratum over here, the individual ego taking onto the path of upasana, imagines itself to be related jate brahmani vartate. The upasana as the upasana, the worship of Bhagavan itself, jate, taken as brahmani vartate, that Brahman alone is worshipped as one of the deities that the jiva is doing the upasana of. This is quite heavy. Let me just explain and then commentary will follow. Prag utpatterajam sarvam. Over here, prag utpattehe, before this creation, ajam sarvam tena sau krupana smritaha. This Brahman, prag utpattehe, it has been there before even the creation was projected onto Brahman. Tena asau, all this pragutpattehe uh, ajam, pragutpattehe ajam sarvam, all this unborn Brahman, tena asau krupana smrutaha. If this unborn Brahman is not realized in and through the upasana, krupana saha, such a person is referred to over here miserly, literally miserly. The time that they have spent doing upasana, and if they don't progress further in their own spiritual unfoldment, then krupana saha, it is pitiable, miserable that the person did all this but has not reached anywhere. Now, what is this upasana which is talked about? This, like I said, we have to understand this Upanishad from a very, very high standpoint. One is the understanding of the Upasana, one is the understanding of the Upanishad, and the other is our own understanding of what we need to do at the stage that we are at to reach the Upanishadic understanding. Upanishad comes over here and declares that Ajam Brahma, that unborn Brahman, if it is not realized, then it is worthless. What is talked about over here as upasana? So now we have this created world. The created world for a samanya person, in the experience of this world, is a world which is capable of creating problems, creating joys, creating sorrows. And in this Arjun sthiti of mind, when Arjuna is fed up with it and cannot deal with it, he breaks down in front of Bhagavan, and Bhagavan gives him first upaya. And his first upaya was, you are getting fed up with this world. That is because you have not processed this world properly. So the first upaya Bhagavan gives is process this world properly. And what does Bhagavan prescribe? Bhagavan prescribes in chapters 3, 4, and 5 the idea of karma yoga. He said, your this secular world out there, converted into a sacred world. How? That this world is now created by Ishvara. And now that it is created by Ishvara, you worship. Let your work be the worship of Ishvara. And you worship Bhagavan. You worship Bhagavan, you worship through karma. And as you grow in your worship of karma, the karma upasana leads to a mind dwelling on Bhagavan. And slowly, slowly, the karma upasana turns into a dhyan upasana. 6th chapter meditation, it is a dhyan upasana of Bhagavan. Now that mind is not getting agitated, That mind is now taken care of by a systematic worship of Ishvara at the level of thought. And initially, an upasana is taken of a shaligram to worship Mahavishnu, Krishna. A Shivalinga is taken as a worship of Shiva. A Shri Yantra is taken worship of Shakti. We can take various things to whatever one wants to pick up to worship. The upasana is none other than pouring this mind's attention onto this Ishvara. So, this now Gaudapadacharya ji is saying that in this upasana, if we we have moved from the secular world to the sacred world, and the sacred world is referred to as upasana. The secular world is for an ignorant who has never even heard about the existence of God and takes the world to be real and goes through the problems. But now, the sacred world, when it is taken by an upasak, the upasak systematically takes all the problems and learns to offer them to Bhagavan and does not get perturbed by the problems, but finds a way to grow in and through the problems. That is what upasana is, a fine maturing of the inner equipment of mind and intellect. The mind and the intellect grows. But that is not the purpose of the study of Upanishads. It is not enough that the mind grows in some type of peace and silence, in quietude, and the intellect grows in its deep faith and shraddha of Bhagavan. That is not enough. It has to be pushed to its penultimate limits. And that is where this Upanishad starts. This is where the Karika of Gaudapadacharya ji starts over here and says, Upasana ashrita dharmaha jate brahmani vartate prag utpattehe ajam sarvam tenasau krupana smrutaha. Now, how did this world of plurality come about? So we see in the Upanishads themselves, they explain the creation aspect of this world. This world which has come out over here, this world which is in front of us, the Upanishads say that if the world is, then there is a cause behind it. And that cause cannot be anything other than Bhagavan, it cannot be anything other than Brahman. So all Upanishads talk about the study in a systematic way known as the prakriya of adhyarop apavad. The prakriya of adhyarop, a deliberate superimpositioning, and the deliberate superimpositioning done on this world is that this world, if it exists, then the existence of this world is none other than Bhagavan. Bhagavan has created Akashad, Vayu, Vayo, Agne, Agne, Apa, Apa, Oshadim, Oshadipyo, Annam, Annat Purushaha. Like that, other Upanishads make it amply clear that the world has come about by Bhagavan, Brahman being the cause. And if the cause is there, then it is explained the cause alone appears as the effect, and the effect is nothing but the cause in a different way. And from the effect, you remove the cause, nothing remains. Like this, the principle of causation is there. Now, if there is an efficient cause, intelligent cause, no intelligent cause exists without a purpose, then we get into trouble. Brahman created this world for a purpose. What is the purpose? Most often asked question. Swamiji, did Bhagavan create this world for me to suffer? First question comes, very often asked question, that this world is created by Bhagavan, and if he created, there is a purpose. And for the one who cannot see beyond, he created for my suffering. Then that is not appropriate. So when we say that there is a cause, the Upanishad in other Upanishads in the Vedas, there is a deliberate superpositioning that Brahman is the cause. Then what the Upanishad does, it removes what is the projected aspect, and what remains is considered to be Brahman. So a creation is projected on Brahman, then systematically creation is removed. That is called apavad prakriya. And in the process of removing everything, the five elements created body, the five elements created subtle body, the anya adhyas created ahankar. When all is removed, what remains is pure awareness. Is how other Upanishads tackle this subject of arriving at Brahman. But this Upanishad never accepts the creation of Brahman, the creation of the created world. So, right here, the first Karika itself in Advaita Prakarana has negated everything. It starts from apavad. It starts that the superimpositioning adhyarop. This Upanishad doesn't go into any adhyarop. This Upanishad starts only from apavad. It removes, and it is over here it's saying that if one does upasana and one is stuck in this upasana, krupanaha saha, that person is pitiable, that person is what to do, they are stuck at a level where they will not be able to reach this higher. So one thing we should take it very carefully is we may study this Upanishad, but we have to make sure that our spiritual practices continue so that the mind molds. Just because the Upanishad is negating upasana, that doesn't mean we have to give up mantra japa, we have to give up puja. If we are not ready, we cannot give it up. At the other side, what this Upanishad is saying, if there is an upasak, let's say a student in a studying in a school, and the student has completed ninth grade and is going to enter the 10th grade, but doesn't want to go to the 10th grade, likes the coursework of the ninth grade, likes the teacher, likes the classroom, and a student has devoured the material of ninth grade and doesn't want to go to the 10th grade. This is not right. In fact, if the student remains in the ninth grade, the new coming ninth graders, he will be a menace for them. He won't allow them to study. They are new at the subject matter. So this Upanishad is saying is our spiritual growth must continue. We cannot get stuck. We cannot get stuck in any comforts of practices. And upasana comes in so many different upasana. Karma yoga upasana, hatha yoga upasana, kriya upasana, just goes on and on and on. And this Upanishad is saying, examine. If Prag Utpattehe, before the creation arrives, Ajam Brahma, this unborn Brahman, which has been there before the arrival of this creation, if that Brahman has not yet arrived, Krupana, it is difficult. The person will not grow. So over here, the individual ego taking to the path of devotion, upasana, imagines itself to be related to the manifested Brahman. What is manifested Brahman? A creation, who is supposed uh, by it as having manifested himself. He has manifested. Such an ego is said to be a narrow intellect because it thinks that before creation all was of the nature of the unborn reality. And if that unborn reality was there before the arrival of the creation, and if that unborn reality became all this, it is not tenable, it is not appropriate. So that Brahman, which now appears as the world, what kind of appearance is it? So now the Upanishad will study what kind of appearance is this world to get to Brahman. If Brahman was there, and if that same Brahman has become this manifest Brahman, and if that manifest Brahman is proved in the second chapter as none other than Mithyavi, illusory, not having a permanent reality, then the reality of the manifested world is itself under question, and it doesn't have absolute existence. It doesn't have absolute reality. It is a temporary, and if it is a temporary, then it is not reality to begin with. To get caught up into something temporary is an utter waste of time and effort. Because if the fruit is not attained upon putting so much time and effort, then it is a waste of effort. Thus, over here, the Upanishad says that if the ego thinks that it has become this and it will keep on worshipping the manifested Brahman, the Ishvara behind this creation, and this Ishvara alone is to be worshipped, that intellect is Krupanaha. It is miser. It has not yet grown in its stature of greater awareness principle. Thus, uh, over here, this upasana is also a type of bhakti. Nowhere in Vedas we will find bhakti. Bhakti is a word used by Ved Vyas Maharshi ji in the Puranic literature of 18 Puranas that he has composed for a rudimentary mind to enter the hallways of spiritual understanding. A very rudimentary entry he utilizes the devotion of Bhagavan. And when the devotion matures, it turns into upasana because there is a self motivating factor to time and again enter uh, a ritual, an action that allows us, that allows me to grow. And when the person matures, the practice should also mature. So if the Brahman is unborn, how can something which is unborn, ever remaining subtle, give birth, which is the contingent of the second karika? Now we read the second karika. It talks about what is this Brahman. And if this Brahman is this unborn, homogeneous existence, how did it become pluralistic? Is it even possible? This is what we are understanding. Ato vakshyama अतो वक्ष्याम्य कार्पण्यम् अजाति समतां गतम् यथा न जायते किंचित जायमानं समन्ततः अतः वक्ष्यामि, I will teach you, akarpanyam, this uh, Brahman, which is akarpanyam, which is free from limitedness. Akarpanyam, free from limitations. Ajati, it is unborn. And samatam gata, it is homogeneous. This unborn Brahman, which is limitless, unborn, limitless, and homogeneous, that Brahman yatha na jayate kinchit, and that unborn Brahman, and from which nothing really is born, though it appears to have manifested jayamanam samantataha, and yet what is manifested, it is as though it is arriving, it is as though it has manifested. So now we have to, in this karika, try to understand what is this world, which is the extension talked about over here. So this Brahman, Advaita, is never the cause of this pluralistic world. How can one non-dual, homogeneous, whole, unmanifest, limitless give birth to something which is limited, experienced, time bound, fleeting? It is not possible. Na jayate kinchit. It cannot give birth to any limitations if it is limitless. A limitless thing cannot give birth to limited world. So from this, Brahman cannot produce, it cannot divide. Advaitam cannot produce, non-dual, Turiyam cannot produce, cannot divide, cannot become limited, it cannot multiply to appear in this multitude of the pluralistic experience of this world. World has never ever been created. So then what is this world? The world is an appearance. The world is not created, the world appears. That is what we have to get from this karika, that there is no absolute reality of the world. The world is an appearance. The gold ornament, the ornament has no existence apart from the gold. Gold alone is the reality, and the ornament is an appearance. Nama Rupa is an appearance. The waters on the sands of the desert, the mirage has no absolute existence. The waters seen on the vast landscape of desert is an appearance. Not even a drop of the appeared pool of water can wet the parched, dry sands of the desert. So the desert lends its existence for the appearance of the mirage. The gold lends its existence for the appearance of a bangle, an earring, a bracelet. Bracelet has nothing to do with the absolute reality. Bracelet is simply a name coined for a form with a utility value that it goes on an arm. That's all. That is what is to be extracted out of this, that Brahman cannot be the intelligent cause because the intelligent cause has a purpose. Brahman has no purpose. It is only lending its existence. So in this Upanishad, it is apavad. There is no adhyaropa. We cannot say that the world has come out. Over here, it is only saying that it is an appearance. It is an appearance. It is an appearance. That Brahman, the deliberate false attribution done to this world of adhyarop for the student's convenience, that the teacher does. This teacher does not do it. That is why it is very difficult to understand Gaudapadacharyaji's commentary. He does not accept the existence of the world whatsoever. He says the world appears. It is an appearance. And if it is an appearance, it can be removed. This is the contingent of this karika. The message to be extracted here is what? When we look at the worldly experiences, we have causes producing effects, like the gold producing the ornament. So what is the job of the cause? Like I said, the job of the cause is to lend its existence, and that's it. So Brahman is not a cause, it just lends its existence. So there is no desire involved, there is no will involved, there is no plan involved, there is no change involved in lending this existence. And thus over here Brahman is referred to as, over here, yatha na jayate kinchit. This Brahman has never given birth to anything because it has only provided its existence. Jayamanam samantataha. And even though all which has come over here, it is an appearance. And this appearance is out of inability to understand that the existence alone is. We will continue this on Thursday. We will take the karikas further. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.